Thank you, Mr. President. I come to the floor today in support of our men and women in uniform who put their lives on the line each day to defend our freedoms and our American way of life. Unfortunately, thousands of our heroes are about to lose those very freedoms that they have fought so hard to defend, as Joe Biden's vaccine mandate is threatening them with a dishonorable discharge should they choose to not get the COVID vaccine. Now, let me be clear, as a physician and a veteran, I'm confident the vaccine has saved countless lives, and I encourage every veteran, every American to consider and to discuss with their physician getting that vaccine. I believe vaccinating our service members, though, against the COVID-19 is such a very, very important effort. But deep down inside, I'm still this rural doctor from Great Bend, Kansas, and I believe in the sanctity of the physician-patient relationship, and that every one of our situations is unique. A soldier's clinical history is unique. There are pros and cons, there's risks and benefits of taking this vaccine. And each of our soldiers all are using common sense, the common sense that God has given them, and I respect their decisions. This administration should too. Right now, thousands of our service members are not vaccinated. When it comes to our guardsmen and women in Kansas, only 58% are fully or partially vaccinated, a number I'm confident would hold true across the remainder of the country. Unfortunately, the policy out of the White House says that one size has to fit all, that there is no exception, even though we know that natural immunity to COVID is the same as, if not more powerful, than the vaccine. We've never asked people, especially military folks, to get a vaccine for a virus they're already immune to or a virus that doesn't affect them. It just doesn't make sense. Because of Joe Biden's vaccine mandate, thousands of American heroes are going to be separated from the service, and they're going to perhaps be given a dishonorable discharge. Mr. President, I want to make sure this body and the American people understand exactly what the significance of a dishonorable discharge is. Soldiers will lose access to medical benefits from the VA. They'll lose access to home loans from the VA. They'll lose access to the GI Bill for further education. They'll potentially lose their right to vote in some states. They'll lose their Second Amendment rights and access to ammunition. They'll lose military funeral honors. They'll lose the ability to re-enlist in another branch of military, and they'll have an extremely difficult time finding employment. Getting a dishonorable discharge may be the worst check mark you can get in your life. Truly a scarlet letter. These sort of repercussions sound like they should be reserved for felons. But no, this is what Joe Biden wants to hand down to our service members. This is insulting, and we must put a stop to it. For these reasons, I introduced legislation, the COVID-19 Vaccine Dishonorable Discharge Prevention Act, to prohibit the Department of Defense from dishonorably discharging American heroes who choose to not receive a COVID-19 vaccine. There's no question about it, American heroes should not be treated as felons because of their personal medical choices. This is one of a number of highly important issues for our national security that Leader Schumer and our colleagues across the aisle have to put on hold while they go back and forth on how to spend taxpayers' money on their radical agenda instead of finalizing the NDAA. The annual defense bill is the only authorizing legislation in the Congress that passes every year, 60 years in a row, as a matter of fact. But this now is the fourth latest in history that has been initially brought up consideration on the Senate floor. Considering the foreign policy disasters this White House has created, one would think delivering a paycheck to our service members and funding to increase our military's lethality would be top of mind. Our troops deserve better, and I'm calling on Leader Schumer to bring the NDAA to the floor. Our American heroes deserve better than this, and we need to get my amendment as soon as possible. I want to thank Senators Cruz, Langford, Tuberville, Kramer, Johnson, Senator Rick Scott, Kennedy, and Senator Wicker for joining me in this important legislation. I look forward to continuing to work with them once we submit it as an amendment to the NDAA. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield back.